A missile traveling 5 times the speed of sound covers a mile in under 1 second. By the time you see it, it may already be too late. Welcome back, defense enthusiasts. Today, we're doing a deep dive explainer on the physics and geometry of hypersonic interception. This is a natural, but much deeper follow-up to our previous look at how air defense systems stop missiles before impact. But as we're going to explore today, the rules of the game have completely changed. The systems we rely on right now are facing an entirely new class of challenges. Think about that timeline for a second. At Mach 5 or higher, your reaction time to defend against a strike compresses down to mere seconds. Literally. By the time a radar operator even registers a threat, the traditional margins of error we've enjoyed for decades are completely stripped away. It's just a terrifying math problem. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the hypersonic physics problem.
To grasp why this is such a big deal, we have to look at the core difference: trajectory. Traditional ballistic missiles follow a very predictable, smooth, parabolic arc that's completely dictated by Keplerian physics. Basically, once that booster stops firing, defenders can calculate exactly where that warhead will be minutes in advance. It's math. But hypersonic glide vehicles, they fly much lower, incredibly fast, and they actually maneuver unpredictably mid-flight. You absolutely cannot shoot where it's going to be because it can just decide to be somewhere else.
And compounding that wildly erratic flight path is something called the plasma blackout. Tying back to our earlier explainer on flying with plasma, the sheer speed of this vehicle superheats the air right in front of it. It literally compresses the atmosphere into a thermal, ionized plasma sheath that wraps completely around the weapon. This acts as a natural electromagnetic shield, absorbing or deflecting traditional X-band and S-band tracking radars. Basically, it makes the missile invisible.
Moving on to Section 2, the 3 phases of intercept. So at the battleground for stopping these things is divided into 3 distinct phases. Phase 1 is the boost phase. The rocket is relatively slow and highly visible here, but it's geographically deep inside adversary territory, making it really the hardest to reach in time. Phase 3 is the terminal phase, the final descent. This is where current systems like Patriot and THAAD operate, but against hypersonics, you have almost 0 reaction time left. That leaves Phase 2, the erratic maneuvering glide phase, as the absolute primary focus for modern defense engineering.
And this creates a massive radar horizon problem. You see, traditional ICBMs fly high into space, allowing ground radars to spot them from thousands of miles away, giving us a really comfortable 20 to 30-minute decision window. But hypersonics, they fly low during that glide phase, effectively hiding right below the curvature of the Earth for much longer. That compresses the defender's decision window down to a terrifying 2 to 5 minutes, or even just 1 to 2 minutes for a cruise missile. So, what's the plan to fix this? Section 3, the Golden Dome layered architecture. Initiated by a 2025 executive order, the Golden Dome for America is the overarching architecture intended to handle these peer-level threats. Think of it as a massive, multi-layered, AI-managed missile defense system. It's designed to combine space-based sensors and interceptors with ground and sea-based systems to create a continuous global defensive net. This architecture essentially stacks concentric layers of defense over the homeland. You have space-based sensing looking down for heat signatures, space-based mid-course interceptors, the incredibly crucial glide phase defense launched from Aegis ships, and finally, the terminal underlayer using Patriot and THAAD. By stacking these layers like a giant puzzle, defenders force the incoming weapon to survive multiple overlapping intercept geometries rather than just slipping through one single seam in the sky. Let's look closer at the center of gravity for this whole thing. Section 4, the glide phase interceptor. $1.31 billion. That is the massive financial commitment injected right into Northrop Grumman's GPI program following a major 2025 funding boost. Congress recognized that waiting around for this technology simply was not an option, so they flooded the program with capital to get this tech fielded as fast as engineering allows. And that extra funding drastically altered the timeline. It pulled the initial delivery milestone forward from 2035 all the way up to 2031. Engineers are now moving at absolute breakneck speed, aiming for a critical preliminary design review by 2028. It's essentially a crash program to close our greatest glide phase vulnerability gap. What's really fascinating is that behind the GPI is a strict 50-50 international engineering effort between the US and Japan. Japan is spearheading the crucial second and third stage rocket motors and the attitude control systems. Those are the exact components needed to handle those extreme high G lateral maneuvers we talked about.
Meanwhile, the US is leading the secret technology and the overall system integration.
But again, an interceptor is useless if it can't see the target. Section 5. Seeing through the plasma.
The shift to gallium nitride or GaN arrays is really the unsung hero of hypersonic defense. Legacy radars used gallium arsenide, which were often sector-limited and had much lower power. Next-generation GaN radars, however, can handle 5 to 10 times the power density with way higher thermal conductivity. Simply put, they can generate massively stronger signals without melting themselves down, providing true 360-degree coverage. So upgrading systems like the ANTPY-2 radar with GaN literally doubles their detection range. It provides the raw electromagnetic brute force required to burn right through that radar-absorbing plasma sheath, finally giving defenders glowing return signatures so they can actually track these insanely fast, erratic threats with high fidelity.
Now, let's pull back and look at the global board. Section 6, the global hypersonic race.
The threat we're talking about isn't just theoretical. It's actively deployed right now and rapidly proliferating globally. Russia is already fielding the Avangard glide vehicle, which, by the way, weaponizes that exact plasma stealth sheath we covered to mask its radar signature, as well as the Zircon cruise missile. China has deployed the DF-17, and North Korea is out there actively testing highly capable systems like the Hwasong-16B.
$12.7 million. That is the cost of just one single THAAD interceptor. This introduces the quiet, brutal crisis of missile defense, the magazine problem. Defenders are forced to fire limited, multi-million-dollar assets against a saturation of much cheaper offensive probes. No amount of technical performance closes that gap if your magazine runs empty first. The exchange ratio is the real war here.
So, as we watch systems like the GPI and the Golden Dome take shape, we have to ask ourselves, can defensive technology, and maybe more importantly, our production capacity truly keep pace with this rapidly proliferating threat? Or will the sheer physics and economics of hypersonic flight ensure that the spear permanently outpaces the shield? Thank you for joining this explainer, defense enthusiasts. Keep your eyes on the skies, and we'll see you next time.